Money Hunt is made possible by Fast Company magazine. Fast Company, Handbook of the Business Revolution. And by Yahoo. Do you Yahoo? Yahoo. Money Hunt is also brought to you by MasterCard's Business Card, a small business resource for controlling costs. The word of the day is angel. Stay tuned for the answer to the word of the day from MasterCard.
Welcome to Money Hunt. I'm Miles Spencer. Starting and building a business is just about everybody's dream these days. But too many entrepreneurs wake bolt upright at 3 a.m. when they think about raising capital. Hey, it's difficult to raise money, especially from professional investors. Cliff Ennico and I have been helping America's best new entrepreneurs do just that for the last 10 years. Now, we do it on TV. We call it Money Hunt.
What you're about to see is the type of meeting you'll have when you talk money with professional investors. Here's how the show works. Entrepreneurs from around the country send us their business plans, and we pick some of the most interesting, fast-growing businesses in America to appear on the show and defend their plan. And believe me, we've done our homework. As you watch the show, please keep in mind that this is just TV land. No money is actually being raised on Money Hunt. Nobody's offering their securities to you folks at home. And just because we have somebody on the show, it doesn't mean they're a good investment or that you would be successful in a similar business.
Okay, hard enough. To raise the stakes some more, Cliff and I bring in someone who knows more about their industry than just about anyone else around, the MoneyHunt Mentor, like on our website. This show, it's Bradley Feld, founder of Intensity Ventures, who helps start, fund, develop, and manage software and early-stage companies, about 20 in the last year. Brad is also an affiliate of SoftBank Ventures. Welcome to Money Hunt, Brad.
Thanks. Good to have you, Brad. Let's meet our first money hunter. His name is John Talashak, president of Handle Helper.
Welcome to Money Hunt, John.
Miles, good to meet you.
California-based Handle Helper is going to make carrying all those bulky shopping bags easier. John, welcome to Money Hunt.
Thank you.
Tell us how you got the idea for this product.
My attorney introduced it to me. He was a good friend of mine and was also involved with the inventor. And he knew the inventor needed some cash and knew I was interested in some intriguing investments. And so he said, he put us together. And we got together. I looked at the idea. I thought it was a very novel, intriguing idea, had a tremendous market, 50 billion units a year just in the United States alone. A very simple idea, too. And I like the combination of a simple idea, a very large market. And I had what the inventor needed, which was some initial capital and some business expertise.
Now, picture's worth 1,000 words. I understand you brought some video which we can watch, and maybe you can talk over while we look at the product. John, what are we seeing here?
You can see one of the common problems with plastic bags is they tend to spill. And that is the biggest problem that consumers complain about. With a handle, which you can see the little red handle going on there, it locks the loops of a plastic bag together, prevents it from spilling. That means you can get more items in the bag. It's more convenient for the consumer. It doesn't spill in your car on the way home. And that is what we're all about.
Now, it seems to me that I've seen a product like this before in the marketplace. As a matter of fact, I brought one with you. This is one that I found recently. It had to do with an Earth Day promotion. This looks a little thicker and more substantial than yours, and also has a place for the logo. What makes this different from yours?
Well, it's very different, and ours is a very lightweight product. It weighs less than a gram. I don't know what this weighs, but probably 10, 15, 20 grams. What we needed to do was get the weight of our product down so that it was very cost effective. And weight is the name of the game in plastic products. The lighter you make it, the less expensive it is. Our products cost less than a penny each, and therefore it's possible for a supermarket to buy the product and give it away free.
So this is not for a consumer to buy?
No.
This is for a supermarket?
That's correct.
John, this is one of those products where you sort of whack yourself on the side of the head and say, gee, why didn't I think of that? What a great idea. But really, it's just really a piece of plastic that connects two handles. What's proprietary about it?
It's the curves in the way the plastic goes together. You have to have tremendous strength in a very light, thin wall, and it has to be able to lift 15, 16 pounds, and you can't do that in very lightweight plastic generally. But we were able to come up with a curve, or rather the inventor was, come up with a curve that was patentable, and it gives us the strength we need to keep the cost down.
Now, John, in the plan, I read about the patent, and I also read that there's been somebody that's contested the patent. Is there any other defensibility for the product other than the patent?
At the present time, probably no. The other defensibility will be the name. We've copyrighted the name and just getting into the market first. But we really haven't experienced any problems in terms of the strength of the patent. We think we have a very strong patent. And
is the brand name that important if what you're really marketing to is to the supermarkets for an ease of use rather than to the consumer?
Well, I think ultimately the brand name will pick up, and people will say, hand me that handle helper, or they call it the handy helper. And already where it's being used, they've seemed to pick up on the name. And we display the name pretty prominently, and so do the chains too. So we think ultimately that will be very beneficial.
The existing customers that you have that in the supermarkets that are currently carrying the product, do they do anything special to the product? Do they want any sort of brand identity? Or
what has been requested is that we put their logo on the handle, which we are working on the technology to do that. It's relatively expensive, but it's a nice idea, and probably ultimately we will do that. But right now we're keeping it a fairly generic, straightforward product.
Most of them have the logos on the bags already.
They do.
And since you're such an inexpensive alternative, I don't see the reason to increase that expense, probably double that expense by trying to imprint a logo on it.
Yes, and so we're trying to avoid that.
John, one of your selling points is that the grocery store chains will have to use fewer bags because they can fill up the bags more with this thing on it.
That's correct.
But one of the reasons I've understood why baggers tend not to fill the bags up completely is because the tensile strength isn't sufficiently strong. The bags will break. Doesn't your product really make that problem worse?
Theoretically, yes. I mean, you have to have a good quality bag, and there are some bad quality bags out there. If a grocer isn't using a good quality bag, he's going to have a problem in any event. If he's using a good quality bag, they still don't fill the bags because the customer says, don't fill it up because it spills in my car, or don't fill it up because it hurts my hands. What our handle helper does is it prevents it from hurting the hands, and it prevents it from spilling in the trunk. And so,
Talk environmental impact for a second. These are disposable products?
they're reusable. They're made from recycled plastic, and so and they are disposable as well.
Clearly designed as a toss away. That's nobody
Yes.
bringing these things back.
Well,
to
actually,
the,
they are. About 10% come back. We put recycle bins in certain supermarkets, and they come back and they reuse them. But for the most part, the American culture is it's largely disposable. But if people are concerned about that, they can be reused.
Let's touch on how you manufacture the product itself today. You have some sources in China as well as Mexico that are able to contract manufacture for you today.
That's right. We own our own molds. We produce our molds, and then we loan the molds to an injection molder. And at this stage of our operation, they run the molds for us on a contract basis.
Focus on the market and competition
I was
section.
just going to say quickly before we move on, much of the product advantage that you talk about in the plan is a price-based advantage for the grocery stores. In those situations, how are you affected by the price of the raw materials and the product? Say, what's the product made of, and if those raw material prices increase?
It's a relatively small part. The percentage of our sales price of the material is about 10 or 12%. So even if resin were to go up greatly, it wouldn't fortunately affect the price of our product very much. So we feel we're protected from that.
Arguably, maybe a low barrier to entry, depending on the patent protection. The customer is really the supermarket. What do you have in terms of proprietary advantage to go after those supermarket chains and convince them to use this product?
The way we sell it is on a cost advantage. Supermarkets generally, the big chains, will not buy a product if it increases customer satisfaction. If that's the only sale point, there's a lot of resistance because it's a low-margin business.
Touch on the size of the market today. In supermarket, number of bags used is...
The U.S. market is 54 billion plastic bags, and the world is several times larger than that.
You downplay some of the ancillary markets. There's also drug and some of the others in your business plan. Why do you choose not to focus on them?
We are focusing on them, but our primary thrust is the grocery market. That's 75% of the plastic bag market in the U.S. And drug is maybe 10, general merchandise is another 10, and the remainder is...
John, once you conquer the grocery market, what other uses would this product have that you can maybe adapt or do similar products for other environments?
if they don't use a plastic bag, there's no place for
Let's
it.
move on to management and money. Some excellent backgrounds in your management team. One particular guy responsible for the introduction of the plastic bag.
Correct.
Correct. But the inventor of the product is now phasing out and becoming a consultant. Can you quickly tell me about that?
Yes. The inventor's a young fellow. He came up with the idea. He got it patented. He would like to move on to his next invention. He's still part of the team. He'll continue part of the team. But in terms of the business and the sales aspect, that's not his expertise, so he's moving on.
And most important, how much money are you looking for? What are you going to use it for?
We're looking to raise about $750,000, and we're going to use it primarily for additional tooling to increase our tooling capacity, our manufacturing capacity, and secondly, to expand our marketing efforts.
Great. Now, a way for smaller companies to have the buying power of larger companies. On our next guest on Money Hunt.
Looking for a template to write a really good business plan? Only Money Hunter is proven to raise millions for entrepreneurs when they need it most. Download it now exclusively at www.moneyhunter.com.
Welcome back to Money Hunt as we take a look at an entrepreneur in the product distribution business. Her name is Judy Wallace, president and co-founder of California-based Business Equation.
Welcome to Money Hunt,
Thank
Judy.
you, Miles.
Come on in.
The Business Equation gives smaller companies a network of products and services that up until now have only been available to much larger businesses. Judy, where'd you get this idea for the new distribution method?
I co-owned the company with another woman. We were both employees of a venture capital company. One of the things that the venture capitalists asked us to do was to provide value-added services to the portfolio companies. So that was piece one. Piece two was an idea that Joyce Axtell, the co-founder of the company, had to bring together the buying power of these portfolio companies to access pricing levels that aren't available typically to small companies. The third piece of the idea came from a vendor who said, it's too bad you're not doing more volume because then we could talk about a rebate.
So there you go, the three elements. Now, this was originally for another company. You've purchased that from the company, now run it yourself. Is that
Yes,
correct?
we did a management buyout in June of '95.
Okay. And basically, how big are you right now? How big is the network?
570 participant companies.
Okay.
And when you say participant company, is that from the manufacture and sale of product, or that members in the network purchasing product?
That's members in the network. Those are actually buying customers of the vendors.
So Judy, how many vendors are there in the network?
About 40 right now, and we cover about 18 different products.
Okay. Let's talk a little bit about how the network works. I think that's very, very important. If I'm a vendor, for example, and I'm looking to broaden my small business marketplace, especially to the burgeoning home office market, what does this system do for me?
We provide an alternate distribution channel to the vendors. We're able to access these small and mid-sized companies more efficiently than the vendors can themselves, because when we talk to a prospective participant company, we can talk about all of the vendors in the portfolio, not just a single entity.
Now, you talk about small and mid-sized businesses. Is there any sort of bottom line to that? Does there has to be like a minimum sales level or something like that?
No, we have participant companies as small as one individual. Okay. Our favorite target market is the 20 to 250 employees.
Is there a ceiling to the larger size companies that it makes sense to work with?
Typically, when companies have a dedicated purchasing agent or a dedicated technical person on staff, we don't provide as much in value to them. However, as the size of the participant group is growing, the size of the company that we can significantly impact continues to increase.
Now, one of the things I noticed in the product offering that you had is the importance of a complete line. If I go to your site or to your service offering, and I'm not able to find the specific toner that I'm looking for my copy machine, I think I go away real fast, and it may be some time before I'm ever convinced to come back. How are you addressing that?
We have a very large Rolodex. We have a loose network of ancillary vendors that we can track down just about anything that these companies might need.
So it's not just the manufacturers, you can also resource distributors that would have a much broader product line and fill
Yes.
in.
And in those cases, do I still have the same kind of price advantage that I have?
It just depends. There are we are not the cheapest of the cheap. This isn't about, that's not what the company is about. The company is about providing well-qualified vendors and lowering the risk of choosing and selecting these vendors to the participant companies.
Now, Judy, in your plan, you make the claim, and one of the ways you sell to the vendors is to say, we bring you a bunch of pre-qualified, small to mid-sized businesses who are already ordering your products, or maybe they know about your products, and we can almost guarantee that you will get 80% to 100% purchases from these folks. Just out of curiosity, on what do you base that claim?
As our sales affiliates are in the field, they're sitting down and talking with the prospective participant companies. So they're going through the portfolio of services and identifying where the specific needs are in these companies at the present time. So before a referral is ever made to the vendor, the participant's interest has been qualified.
Where do the affiliates come from?
Personal network has been our best arena for bringing these affiliates to us.
But is that a model that can really be scalable? At a certain point, you got to exhaust your personal networks and networks of your friends, and the real important is in the buying power, having a broad network of folks.
Right. Part of the expansion capital that we're seeking will be hiring a marketing strategist, and a new sales program will be part of that.
What's the method that I use to actually buy the product? I have to call somebody and talk to somebody on the phone? Is it email-based or over the internet or fax?
We don't interfere with the relationship that the vendor has with the participant companies, because we don't have the expectation of being able to do the vendor's business better than the vendor can. If we found the very best vendor in the market providing this particular good or service, then we want them to continue to have a personal relationship with the participant companies. So for the vendor side, all we're doing is acting as a distribution channel.
Let's focus on the sales affiliates just for a moment. What type of person do you look for here? What are the selection criteria?
Large Rolodex is very helpful. It's a relationship sell. It is difficult for a traditional salesperson to get past the idea that they're not coming out of a meeting with a check or a signed contract in hand. It's just we're introducing the idea of the business equation, the concept behind how we came to this place, and the benefits going forward.
Now, Judy, to understand your revenue model, you're basically negotiating a discount with the manufacturers of the process and passing most of that discount on to your customers.
Yes.
And the difference between the two is split between yourself and the affiliate. It's the essence of your revenue model, correct?
Now, our revenue actually comes from the vendors, and they're compensating us through their sales and marketing budgets.
So the customer then, the small to mid-sized business, doesn't pay anything for this. It all comes from the vendor side of the equation.
That's correct.
And you pass it on to the sales affiliate.
Yes.
What's the fundamental difference between what you're doing and say what CUC does with Shoppers Advantage, or what any of the office superstores are trying to do with a broad variety of products?
The loose competition to the business equation out there are generally membership fee-based organizations where you pay an annual fee to get a discount card, and then you use that card on a continual basis. There is no risk to the participant companies here. They're accessing a network of very highly qualified vendors, competitive pricing, and they're not having to pay anything for using us as their educated purchasing agent.
Judy, you make the statement in your business plan that you really don't have any direct competition for this type of a system. What about something the catalog, office supply catalog companies like Crutchfield's would be a good example. Why do you not consider them direct competition? They do
because we're not actually marketing the goods and services. All we're doing is leveraging and leveling the buying field for these companies. Small and mid-sized businesses typically pay more for goods and services than large companies do because they don't have any leverage in the marketplace.
Let's move on to the management and the money section. You were looking for $2 million, is
Yes.
that correct? And $600,000 of it is to develop your business development center. What does
Yes.
that mean?
We are very light right now on our sales marketing side. Over the last 18 months, we've learned that this is a numbers game, that we need to increase the participants to be able to maximize our profitability. So we will be bringing on a marketing strategist. The other piece of this is the information technology. We are going to know more about the buying trends of small and mid-sized businesses over a broad spectrum of goods and services and a lot of companies out there.
Now, the plan mentioned a total of approximately $3 million of gross transactions through June of '97, but it didn't get a snapshot of where you are today. How have you done through, I guess, half of the fiscal year?
We've had some challenges this last year. We've been very lean. We've been a very lean organization. We've been bootstrapping it for the last 12 months. The numbers are continuing to increase, but we are struggling with some of the issues that come from needing to deal with massive amounts of information and not having the technology
Judy,
to do
quick
it.
question. Since you're going to be operating sales affiliates eventually, I assume, in all 50 states, what's your legal budget at this point? for compliance with all the various local laws on independent sales agents and that kind of stuff?
The budget, one of the things that we are looking at right now is the question of independent contractor versus employee.
It's going to be a big issue.
Good presentation. Coming up next, the partners meeting, our evaluation of the ideas we've seen on this show.
Money Hunt wants to hear from you. Email us with ideas and comments on the show at loop@moneyhunter.com.
Welcome back to Money Hunt. Our entrepreneurs are done with their pitches. It's time for our analysis section. Our first Money Hunter was John Telechak from Handle Helper. Brad, you read the plan, you heard the pitch. John ready to go out and raise money in the real world?
Yeah, I think John's ready to go. He's got a great product concept. It's simple, market's huge, he understands the market, and he's very focused on who his buyer is, which is a supermarket, not the end consumer.
Cliff.
Solid product, definitely a need for it. They knows the grocery market probably better than anybody else for plastic bags. My only reservation is a minor one. I think he really needs to address the issue of if you fill these bags up too full, they're going to fall on my ingrown toenail. I also think longer term, once he's conquered this market, it's not too early to start thinking about other line extension products that he can sell to the same
Gotta
folks.
disagree. I mean, irrelevant, because the amount of money, even though once he ramps up, it levels off. You've made such a killing in that business. Great. Go to Hawaii, have a great time, and your investors are going to love you. So I'm not worried about that from a one-product company. I didn't have too many ways to shoot holes in the plan. Aside from the fact that the margins were too wide, I couldn't make notes, but there wasn't anything wrong with the plan. An inventor leaving, but that didn't really make too big of a difference. The focus on the customer being the supermarket is important, and that one's a hard one to reach. It's a Me Too, follow along marketplace, and the great element of the management team was he had somebody.
They know how to get at that market because of the Director of Business Development.
Sure, I mean,
and that's key.
Director of Business Development from the plan had introduced the plastic bag to the marketplace, and that plastic bag replaced 80% of the market, which happened to always been paper bags. So unable to poke holes in that one. Looks like he's ready to go on for a round of funding. Let's move on to business equation, Judy Wallace. Again, you read the plan and you heard the pitch. Is Judy ready to go out and raise money based on what you know today?
This one's a little tougher. I definitely say that there's some things that Judy needs to focus on. My biggest concern is why the major players that are already selling into the Soho market wouldn't be able to put together a relationship like this and just stomp her. The other thing is that there's not really provability that the participant acquisition ramp. She's got 500 or so participants, but she needs to get big really fast to start to own and control that channel.
Cliff.
I agree with Brad. Her challenge is going to be to become the power player in the market very fast. She's using a lot of independent sales agents. She's going to have a high level of development training cost, legal costs, as we talked about in the segment, because the states are really going after the employee versus independent contractor issue right now. Her system holds together, though, extremely well, and I think she's got something because everybody really wins in this situation. There are really no losers.
Exactly. You take a booming Soho market, which is exactly who's going to be buying this product. Got to offer a complete line. We touched on it briefly because if there's a product that's not available to me, I want it.
She's got to go scrounging for it at
and
cost.
Where she came from is a great starting point because she came from the venture business and she did work for the portfolio companies or service the portfolio companies. There's lots of venture capital firms with ever-expanding portfolio companies. Seems like an obvious market segment to go
her business
after.
is going to take off when she builds her database of companies and starts selling or licensing that to some of the participating vendors. That's where the real money is.
As we've brought up in so many of the shows on this first season, GBF. Get big fast. Go back to the first venture capital fund that you originated with, raise some funds from them, get to the market.
This whole idea started out at a venture capital firm. Why doesn't she go back to the venture capital firms and pitch this as a concept for their portfolio companies? It seems to me that she does two things there. Number one, she gets big fast because she's accessing their database, but also, two, she's spending a lot of time hanging around venture capitalists who could be second-round investors.
Not a bad idea. Let's see how our money hunters take the news.
John, what is your reaction to the partners meeting?
We really liked the results. I think it was evident that the partners had read the business plan pretty carefully and asked some very good questions, and we really liked their positive endorsement of our product and our business. And so we hope they'll be looking for the Handle Helper in the supermarket shortly.
And Judy, what is your reaction to the meeting?
It was reassuring to hear some of the things that we've been bouncing around internally echoed by the partners. We've been talking with our corporate counsel this week about the independent contractor versus employee issue, and we are currently doing a lot of work with the small business incubators in the Silicon Valley.
So you think this is easy, getting in front of investor types and talking about your business before a national TV audience? It's not.
Hey, Growing a business has never been easy, but the payoff, if you succeed, is like nothing else on earth. If you've got a good idea, learn the secrets, and have a fire in the belly, you've got what it takes to make it on Money Hunt.
Learn how to succeed at Money Hunt. For a transcript or video cassette of this Money Hunt show, call 1-800-925-0745. Money Hunt is made possible by Fast Company magazine. Fast Company, Handbook of the Business Revolution. And by Yahoo. Do you Yahoo? Yahoo! Money Hunt is also brought to you by MasterCard's Business Card. Angel, private investor with industry experience. This word of the day brought to you by MasterCard.